up, everybody? I'm Sal Kalani. This is Reggie Steele. And welcome to Spitballin. Spitballin.
Well, what's up, everybody? I'm Sal Kalani. This is Reggie Impatient Steel.
And welcome to Spitballin, y'all. Let's get it.
Oh,
As Greg Hill would say, you all shoulders. You all shoulders. I got the best shoulder game in the game. I got the best shoulder game.
So you got a guest today, huh? Shoulders.
Yes, we have a guest today. A friend of mine named King Hassan. I will introduce him later. But before we get to our guest, Sal and I will talk about a couple things, catch up on some stuff. There's some big things that happened this weekend. Big things happened this weekend.
I'm going to share a little audio clip of something I saw this week. See if you recognize this.
Hello, my name is Elder Price, and I would like to share with you the most amazing book. Hello, my
You don't
name
know
is
it, huh?
Elder Grant. It's a book about America a long, long time ago. It has so many awesome parts, you simply won't believe how much this book can change your life. Hello, my name is
You into
Elder
musicals,
Green.
Reg?
I know
that.
I know you went to go see the Book of Mormon, so I'm assuming it's for the Book of Mormon.
Hello.
Yeah, this is the
My
opening.
name is Elder Young. Hello.
It's not too bad, actually.
Jesus lived here in the USA.
Catchy, this one. This is the opening track.
Read all about it now. Hello. In this sneaky
All right, well.
book, it's free. No, you don't have to pay. Hello.
It's pretty funny, man.
Hello.
There's I don't want to, I can't ruin it, but there's tons of funny songs, and yeah, I think I think you would enjoy it, my friend.
Okay. I mean, it's gotten great reviews. I've never seen it, obviously, but everyone that I know that has seen it, they have nothing but good things to say about it.
Part of Africa.
Yeah, no, this is the other one I like.
So you bought the soundtrack?
People
No,
are
I'm just playing this
starving
off of
in the
YouTube.
street. Hasadiga Igbo wine.
So
I love that part.
how
That
does
one really gets
Lion
into it.
King? How's the Lion King and African
Oh,
come into play?
that's a
in-
joke they make constantly in it. You have to see
Yeah.
it. That's their Hakuna Matata, but
Yeah, I'm like,
it's
how's the Lion
funny.
King
And,
and African play into the Book of Mormon?
you have to, that they reference it a couple times. It's
Okay.
really
Alright.
funny, and
So I did not miss
man,
that.
I no, no, I highly recommend it. So you
All
know
right.
about missionary work,
Yeah, if it comes to the Bay again, then I'll see if I can check
Matt
it out.
Stone, Trey Parker, they South Park creators. They're very good at musicals. And the movie, you ever watch the South Park movie?
I may have seen it, but I don't, I don't
Man,
remember it.
Reg, you ain't a big fan, huh?
No, I'm not. And
It's
let me
just
just say
funny.
that
You
clearly.
don't like funny stuff.
I like funny. I just ain't got
You
time to
don't-
sit down and watch cartoons. I got better shit to do.
The Simpsons is just a cartoon now, huh? You can't.
I don't watch.
You
I
love
didn't watch The
cartoons.
Simpsons.
You watch superhero shit all the time.
Yeah, but I didn't watch
That's a
the
cartoon.
cartoons. I mean, I
Yeah,
watch
you-
like straight up. No, just for the record, I love animated movies. I love animated movies. Pixar, DreamWorks, Disney. I love all those. But I just never got into. I did watch the Cleveland Show. I used to watch the Cleveland Show, but I never got into Family Guy. I never got into South Park. I never got into The Simpsons.
Wait a
Not
minute.
like
So you
that.
didn't watch Family Guy, but you just watched Cleveland Show?
I watched a little bit of Family Guy just to see. I mean, I watched a little bit of Family Guy, and then I saw Cleveland on there. And then when
Was
he
it
got his
because
own
it's a
show,
black character? You want?
no, I just kind of like the idea of Cleveland. Like he was just kind of funny to me.
Yeah, it's funny. His name's Cleveland Brown.
Yeah, Cleveland Brown, and then there's also Rollo, the little dude with the afro, who's
Mhm.
like, "Don't laugh, America, don't laugh." Like
Is
I
that
love
his
when they break
stepson
the
or
fourth
something?
wall. That is his. Yes, that's his stepson, his stepson and stepdaughter.
And then it didn't last long. Went back to Family Guy world. He went.
I don't know. I mean, I think he got several seasons, at least 5.
I mean, that dude, man, McFarlane had Family Guy. He had a Cleveland show. He had American Dad. It was
Yeah.
crazy. It's
No,
still
he's
got it.
the dude was killing it. But yeah, I never really got into those. I used to watch the Simpson clips when it first started, when they would play during the Tracy Ullman show
Jesus.
at the very beginning. Tracy Ullman, because I used to watch the Gary Shandling show and the Tracy Ullman show. And I love both of those. And so the Simpsons started as like little shorts in between
Right.
those shows, right? And I watched it then, and then it got its own show. And yeah, I didn't watch it really. I mean, I know the characters Marge and Bart and Lisa
Jesus,
and
Reggie, it's been on for
Homer.
34 years.
Hey man, I got better shit to do. I'm sorry, bro.
You're
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
like, I got better shit to do. She-Hulk is on.
Yeah, let's go watch She-Hulk. Yes.
Jesus.
So yeah, man, I never really got into it. Not like that.
So another thing
and then
Reggie's not into and hasn't been watching is the World Cup. Another
yeah, I just
cultural
been
thing, Reg.
It's one of those things where I've seen it, right? And I know about Team Japan and Iran and
There's
Germany.
a Team Japan. You're right. There's teams.
I mean,
I'm
saying I know the team. I know some of the teams that are in it. Obviously, I know that we advanced. Right?
Germany's not in it.
Not anymore. They got eliminated because
Right.
Japan beat. Who was it? Based on the points, yeah, Germany was eliminated. Germany and who was the other? Was the other one? Costa Rica? No, not Costa Rica.
Yeah,
but,
they're out.
Costa Rica.
I don't know. Japan's out.
Yeah, Japan.
They
They are now too.
They just lost about 30 minutes ago in penalty kicks. First time I saw penalty kicks in the World Cup. Because now it's the knockout round, so you can't have ties, thank God. So they go 90 minutes, and then they add 15, and then they add 30, actually, 2:15 more periods. You could have a break in between, but it goes like, it's not who first scores. It goes that whole time. So you do 120 minutes. Then if it's still tied, which it was, 5 guys from each team take 5 penalty kicks.
And what was the result?
Croatia could kick their penalty kicks, man. They made 3. Japan made 1. They didn't even have to get down to the final guy. They did it. Yeah, Japan missed the first few, and then I was just like, it's so low and not as much power. And then the Croatian, a lot of it just fooling that goalie, man.
Yeah, it's because it's a guessing game.
Yeah,
it truly is a guessing game.
Yeah, it's such a intense time as you're like, you feel for that goalie. But the Croatian goalie blocked 3 Japanese shots, but they were all like, so low, and it didn't seem too. I mean, he's guessing, but he guessed right every time.
Okay. Well, congratulations to Croatia for advancing, and Japan, you did well. I mean, you took it down to penalty kick. You took it down to penalty kicks. You can't. I mean, you can't be upset about that.
Yeah, they were up 1-0, and then they came back and tied them, and then U.S. is out. Netherlands kicked the crap out of us.
Okay, what was the score? Final score?
3-1, and even our goal was kind of lucky. Like, our guy wasn't even looking; he was running the other way, and the ball was coming, so he just put his foot under it to kick it up, and it went up over his head and into the goal. And then literally like 5 minutes later, though, the Netherlands scored, and it's like, it's over now.
Yeah,
you got 2-goal lead with a few minutes left. This shit's a wrap.
Yeah, it's over. Well, I'll take that. I'll take the mistaken goal. Like, yeah.
And I will say, who I do like is because like, I'm gonna tell you what really kind of got me into it is like my friend and I started playing FIFA, and you play it,
online?
and it's so fun. It's a fun game just to play.
Is it really?
You know what I
Wait,
mean?
mobile? You play mobile or like console?
No, on the PlayStation. The PlayStation 4. I'm old school. So
I got the 4 too.
But you should get the game. It was free. I got it on because they give you downloads every month, and it was free. And Mbappe from France is awesome, and Messi from Argentina, and like those are like and then there's other stars would be Neymar from Brazil and Ronaldo from Portugal. But man, Messi made a couple shots this week. Mbappe made 2 and a goal. He's got 5 already in this World Cup.
Jeez.
Dude, and that dude's on the cover of the game. He's been on the cover 3 years in a row.
Wow, really? Wait, who's been on the cover for 3 years in a row?
Kylian Mbappe, Mbappe.
Where's he from?
Mbappe, France. I don't know if that's he plays for Team France. He plays for the city in France, and he had his first World Cup when they won it. last time. And now this is the second one. And the dude will just be by himself with 3 dudes around him in the box, and he'll just like, this room kicking. And just next thing you know,
Wow.
shit's in.
Hey, dude, I got to tell you, I am never, no, I'm not going to say negative. I'll say I am always impressed with soccer players or football players. Like the things that they're able to do, the things that they're capable of doing with the ball, the speed and the stopping and the kicking.
I just can't believe the accuracy.
The accuracy, it's amazing. I am always impressed. I'm always blown away by those guys.
And what's a stupid campaign? It's called soccer, not football. Like, we got to stop this ignorant American stupid line they've been thrown out there. It's like,
Wait,
what is
what
it
are they
in
saying?
a commercial? It's called soccer, not football. And I think they did it in a commercial.
The whole
and
world,
now it's all up. Yeah, but they're running away with it out there. It's stupid.
The whole world calls it football because it makes sense. It's you kick the ball with your feet. Now, because we have a game here in the States, football, the NFL, they want to change. They want to rebrand it for the whole world. Like, that's so dumb. The whole world calls it one thing. We call it something differently, but we're like, no, you got to call it what we call it, or don't, it's like, we're so arrogant. It's like,
yeah, it really annoys me when I see that. Speaking of NFL football, Deshaun Watson came back yesterday for the Browns.
Oh, okay. Watson.
And I gotta say though, it feels weird still though. It's hard to root for the dude a little. It's a little weird. And he did not have a good game. He had a rough game, but luckily the
he hadn't
defense
played in what game
700 games, 700 days. But the Texans are horrible, the worst team in the league. Okay. And they basically gave us the game. We took a punt return for a touchdown. We had their guy went and the quarterback went and ran it just to go they're on the 2-yard line. He's trying to just get some space. So he runs it and fumbles it. Our guy just picks it up off the 4-yard line and walks it in the end zone.
Oh, wow.
So so even though Deshaun sucked, he didn't really
got the W.
well. He threw a bad pick. But our defense and special teams really came through for us. So that was
okay.
Huge.
Well, hey man, look, the guy has some special proclivities, unfortunately. I don't know what it is.
He constantly won't admit anything wrong. And it's like, yeah, man, it's 26 times, bro. It's tough to deny 26 times.
26 times.
And they all got separate.
They don't hold up. 26 times they don't know each other. 26 times they don't know each other, and they all have the same story.
Right, bro. It's like, come on, man.
It's like, come on, man. At some point, you just got to say, yo, look, I got a problem. I need to work on this. Right? Like, it's like I kind of. I have a tendency, I like to take shit, and I just can't take everything. So I got to start asking for stuff. Well, but his whole thing was that he was inappropriate, right? At massage parlors, right?
Right.
So he wasn't necessarily taking anything. He was just kind of.
Well, there was one or two said, yeah, there was some, I think.
They felt like they were forced.
Yeah.
Coerced or forced.
Yeah. Yeah, I put some up on Twitter. I don't see the $250 million value yet.
Jeez. It's early. The guy hadn't played in 700 days.
Yeah, no, it'll be whatever.
Dude, but you are like, you know what? You're the fan. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm just gonna put this out to the whole world, or at least to our audience. Former athletes, right? Former athletes who played on a high level. We all get together and we talk about you fans.
Nah, so you got us in your head, dude.
We talk about you fans. We talk about how, we talk about the fact that you guys have these expectations and these goals and desires and wants and needs, and have no point or frame of reference outside of Pee Wee League.
Here is
football, basketball, and baseball.
I could look at everything else that's happening in the league, and I just feel that the highest paid NFL player in the league should play a little better.
And I will say, give him a chance. The guy hasn't played in 700 days, bro.
Well, he needs to win 5 in a row if we're going to make the playoffs.
What's that? That's a little less than 2 years that he hasn't played. He hasn't played in 2 years, and arguably one of the toughest, fastest, most aggressive, technically difficult games to play. And it's like, come back and be amazing.
You
It's
heard
like,
it
yo,
here
give him a chance.
first, folks. Reggie sympathizing with the sexual assaulter. All right. Now,
No. I'm not sympathizing with the sexual assaulter. I'm sympathizing with the athlete, with the football player. Right?
all right. All
Because
right.
all right. So it is great pleasure. It is an honor and a great pleasure to introduce our guest today. He's a friend of mine, a comedian, and a writer. Me and this dude go way back. Give it up for my boy, King Hassan.
Yeah. In the
Yeah.
flesh, baby.
Yes, there he is. What's up, my brother?
How's it going?
Good,
Good to
man.
see
Oh,
you.
hold up. How's it going? Like you ain't
I'm
just
just,
see me like
I'm
less
just.
than 24 hours ago.
What's up, man? What's up, my G? What's good? What's
Oh, he's so
poppin'?
cool. He's so cool. King, you know my boy Sal, right? You
Yeah,
guys,
yeah.
yeah, Sal, King. Man, it's good to see you, brother. How you doing this morning?
Good. Long time no see. What has it been, like 11 hours, 12?
11, maybe 12 hours.
But then before that, it's been like years.
Has it been that long? No. Oh,
Yeah.
it was. Okay, so
Yeah.
the last time I saw King, we were talking about this, the Irvine Improv,
Yeah.
right? I was there opening for featuring for Ian, and King came down to catch the show.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
that's
like, what,
cool. And you
2019?
returned the favor
20
last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw him
Oh,
Sunday, not Sunday, but Saturday. I saw him
yeah.
Friday
Okay.
and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday. Yeah.
Friday and Saturday at
Damn.
the San Jose Improv. So he came to watch me at the Irvine Improv, and then I went to go watch him at the San Jose Improv. Yeah. You see how it goes? It's like that. So what's going on, man? How's your day going so far?
I mean, with the dog, you know about my whole dog situation. My
Yeah.
dog got into a fight at doggy daycare, and he lost, apparently.
Yeah.
He's 125 pounds,
Okay.
Wow.
but he's like 10 months old, so he doesn't know. He doesn't know how to like stick it.
Oh,
He doesn't
yeah,
know
yeah.
yet.
So is
Like,
he okay,
what
though?
happened to him?
Yeah. Well,
He just got a bite on the ear, and he got
Ooh.
like a black eye, not black eye, but he got like a scratch to the face.
yeah, he had some scratches, but
Yeah, exactly.
but none of the puncture wounds because King was telling me that I guess I didn't know this, but with dogs, if they get bitten, it can cause an air pocket underneath the skin, which can cause
Yep.
an infection or
Yeah.
bubble, I guess.
Exactly.
Right.
So we
So
just
Is
he's
that why
okay.
you bring it to the vet to make sure he doesn't have that or whatever?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Hold up, I gotta
Okay.
address this. So I'm trying to figure this out because I always have a problem with this. Because Sal just said, "Is that why you bring him to the vet versus take him to the vet?" Is either one of those?
I'm pretty sure it's
is-
synonymous.
It is.
Yeah,
It can go
man.
either
Well,
way.
yeah, take sounds a little harsh, Reg. It's like you're pushing him around. I'll take him to the vet. Oh, no, bring him along. Come on, bud. Reg, I'll snatch him to the vet.
I'm just
There's
curious,
a
'cause I hear that
connotation
all
of
the time.
kidnapping. Yeah.
It's like, bring
Hey,
him.
you can just tell which one of us three here doesn't have any pets. That's all I'm saying.
Just for the record, I grew up with pets. I want to know. I had a dog named Phila that I got when I was
Phila.
4.
An outside dog. He didn't even let him in the house.
Yeah, no, he's from
No.
Alabama. That's how we do.
Yeah.
We
That's
don't-
how
I
we
can't even
exactly.
blame
You
him.
hear that? Thank you. That's
you
how
can't
we
call
do.
it a pet. Like you just had
He wasn't a pet. He was security.
exactly.
Like you grew up with
he had
dogs.
a job.
He had a job, dude. He lived outside.
He got paid in food. That's how
He
that
did.
works.
Food
Dude,
and
that's
water
like
and
me
shelter.
saying I grew up with a deer.
Yeah, honestly, it's the exact same. You got a fenced-in deer.
He was a German. I got him when I was 4. I got him as a puppy, and I had him. He was an outside dog, and I had him till I was 18. He passed
You left a
away
puppy
my senior-
outside like that?
Well, no, not at the beginning, silly.
No.
He lived in the house, and then once he learned his job, right? He was just
Exactly.
like your kid. Your kid lives in the house, and then when he gets old enough, then it's like
Training, yeah.
training, everything. It's like, yo, now go guard the perimeter, bro.
That's funny, dude.
My grandpa had a dog his whole entire life. Like and his name was Bob. And when Bob died, he'd just get another dog named Bob, and we would
That's
just keep
funny.
the cycle of Bobs going.
Are you
That's
serious?
so-
Yeah, never went in the house.
I've heard people do this before. I've heard that.
With the same
Yeah.
name?
Yeah.
Bob.
Gee, that
Yeah.
dude, that don't feel right. That don't feel right. I don't like that. That don't feel right. I feel like it's not even giving each dog like a reference to who they are. You know what I'm saying? Like
No, just
their
like when you have an
identity.
assistant manager, when they come in, you still call them your assistant manager. It's the same title, same. Yeah,
but
Bob
the
was the name
assistant
of his
manager
title.
still has a name. You're talking about the time. If the dog is security, then that's what he does. He's like, okay, he's a watchdog, but this one is Randy, and then Bob was here, right? And then there's
The dog doesn't know any better.
Exactly. Bob is
That's
just
true.
the title. Bob
That's
is the
true.
title.
Yeah,
Title of his
Reg,
security
come
dog.
on,
Okay,
man.
okay.
Come
Hey,
on,
real quick, I was
Reg.
going to ask you, can you close one of your blinds just because you're so
Oh, yeah.
hot on one side, like you're kind of getting blown out?
Nope.
Nice.
Close the
No,
wrong
now
one.
you're too dark. Yeah.
Oh, you know what I can do? I'll use artificial light. Apparently, you don't like God's light.
God's light. I was just saying because you was. If all else fails, then we can just go back to what it was. And then...
Reggie Steele hates dogs and God's light.
Oh, dude, that's even worse. No,
that's even worse.
Go back to the beginning. Just go back to the beginning.
Yeah,
We'll
just
edit,
keep
we'll
them
edit
closed. Keep them closed, I think, and just shut off the light. And we could always
No, 'cause
brighten
it'll be
it
too
in
dark.
post.
It'll
I
be
could
too
brighten
dark.
it in post. No, that's better. That's way
That's
better.
That's better.
Good.
Yeah, that's better.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's way
Okay.
better.
All right. Well,
Man.
so
Oh, wait,
King,
let's first get to his name here, because maybe our guests, they don't know, So King Hassan.
Yeah.
It's King. Is your first name King? Like
My first name is King. Yeah.
And that's what you were named on your birth certificate.
at birth.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
So I never, as a kid, I never went by King because white people really didn't like that.
That had
like,
been rough,
yeah,
I would think.
Yes, exactly. So, and I was like always the only black kid in school, and so I've been called MC Hammer. I've been called like they just whatever popular black person.
Right.
Oh, dude, that's terrible.
Was who I grew up being called, and so I ended up going by my middle name, which is Adewumi, or Ade for short.
There we
So
go.
a lot of people know me by in San Jose, where I grew up. A lot of people call me by my middle name.
Okay.
And so,
and that's how when I first met him, I met him as a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why I was asking.
Where'd you meet him at, Reg?
On stage.
Yeah, I was at the San Jose Improv when I was working. When we go back 2003. Yeah, 2003. Working at the Improv. Day was a runner or
hey, don't dead name me. We talked about this.
Okay. All right. He worked for the Improv. We were just saying he worked for the Improv. But he was a young dude. He was a young dude, and and so I was at that time I was at the Improv pretty regularly. I was there like very often. So I just got to know the staff and the people who worked there. And he and I, we hit it off over the years, and it just became a regular thing where it's like I see him all the time and became friends, and I just knew him as a day. So I used to think that say your middle name again,
Adewumi.
Okay, Adewumi. I thought that was your last name. That's why when I asked you what your last name was, I was like, how do you say your last name? Because I thought it was King Adewumi. But no, it's okay.
Hassan is my last name.
So
that's only half of my first name. My full last name is Hassan-Olajoku.
There we go.
And so
he's straight up African. So say your whole name for the audience, please.
In case someone wants to steal my identity.
Okay. Leave out a syllable.
Good luck spelling it.
Exactly. It's King Adewumi Hassan-Olajoku.
Yeah, no one's stealing that, bro.
Yeah, I just
I already forgot.
Wait till I get some more credits.
King Adewumi.
That was pretty good,
Was
right?
that the one?
Yeah, really. King Adewumi.
Just call me MC Hammer.
All right, so you grew up in San Jose, but you from Nigeria? Your family's from Nigeria?
So I was born in Alabama, and that's where me and Reg really connected. Yeah. And then when I was 2, I moved to London, and when I was 4, I moved to Nigeria. But I've pretty much been raised in San Jose, like since I was like 5.5, 6. Yeah. So
that's pretty interesting.
And then I went to school. I went to university in Malta, south of Sicily in the Mediterranean. And then I moved to LA from Calgary. So,
wow. What were you doing up there?
I met a girl. I met a girl in Vegas. Duh, like that's how.
I've done shows in Alberta, man. That's a trip up there. It's nothing but snow.
Yo, I just got to mention this because our previous guest was Tom Rhodes, and Tom Rhodes, he's lived all over the world as well, right? And been in different places. And a common theme that I recognize in a lot of his stories was like, yo, so why'd you go there? Fell in love with a woman.
Yeah.
Say that. That's how he ended up in
That's like-
Amsterdam. That's
Yeah,
right.
he's like, fell in love with a woman and
That's
ended up
right.
here. Well, how'd you end up? And then you left there and you went here, and how'd you get there?
I fell in love with a different woman.
Yeah,
Are you not following?
Pussy.
Yeah. So, okay. So, but before we get to all of that, because I want to say working at the Improv, right? Was that your first introduction to comedy in a certain way, or was comedy somewhere in your life throughout prior to that?
No, I mean that was my introduction to like comedy as an art form. Like,
okay.
you know, like, yeah, for me, like I would say my biggest talent or what I have always contributed to the game is being a storyteller. That's been my thing. That's like where I started culturally. We used to have these huge Nigerian block parties. Like people would fly in from Nigeria, from Houston, from LA, and we'd have these huge house parties, like DJs, like the whole cul-de-sac would be like full of parking. We'd have valet, and we'd do this like every like couple of months, and like it was like a really big thing that like all these Nigerians got together. And so when we were kids, we would all be in the master bedroom or whatever house we were having it at, and all the kids would be in the master bedroom, like throwing them, watching Mighty Mouse. Like we would just be hanging out playing games, and one of the parents would come in every hour or so and sit with us and tell us a story, like right there on the spot. And they're 10 Heinekens deep. So like these stories are like all over the place. But I just remember being like 8 years old and knowing that we were like trying to do suplexes on the bed like 5 minutes before, and now all 30 kids are like in this room just being captivated by one of our uncles just like making up a story on the spot. And so like the power of stories like always run deep in me.
Okay.
So
Wow.
Okay.
yeah.
Now, was there anyone funny? I mean, with these stories, were the stories funny sometimes?
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And so like one of my uncles, he was just, humor wasn't the point, but it was a tool. And so I just like remember, like, even because like I don't know if you gave credits or anything like that, but like like I write TV now, and it's knowing where the joke goes. And I might not always have the best joke, but I know where the place for the joke is. And so like, and it's a skill set that like a lot of people conversationally don't have, that I've really honed in like as a kid. So
okay.
Is there a large Nigerian population in San Jose?
yeah, not necessarily San Jose, but in the Bay Area we have like Oakland, Hayward. Yeah, so yeah, it's pretty big.
When you first met Reggie, could you tell he had Nigerian in him?
I could not, but I did know he was from Alabama.
Yeah. Well, hold up. I didn't know.
Because you get it all the time, Reg, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I didn't know that I had that Nigerian look about me until I got around. Like in Alabama, no one ever said anything. It wasn't until I got to California that I got around other people from other parts of the world, and the Nigerians would always look at me
and
like,
claim you.
Yo, straight up. I'm talking about. I just recently I talked to a family, and I was saying to them about what part of Nigeria I thought I was from, and they were like, no, Igbo. Like you're
no
Igbo.
way.
No, Yoruba.
Yeah, definitely Yoruba.
That's what I said. I said, oh, I think maybe Igbo, and they were like, no. And they were like, no. Yoruba. You are Yoruba, right? Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I went and kind of looked it up, and I was like, oh yeah, I think they're pretty much right?
Yeah, I'm Yoruba also. We're a stockier.
Yeah,
is that a different region of the country or something?
Not different. It's pretty intertwined now. But there's three major subsects of I mean there's like hundreds of different like smaller like colonies or tribes or whatever you want to call it, but the big three are like the Hausa, the Igbo, and the Yoruba.
Wow.
And so
so I got the Yoruba, and that's what they were saying, because the whole family, even was like the mother, the father, and the kids. When I say Igbo, they all were in like no.
Yeah,
they made that look. They almost looked like they were upset. Like, no. Got all.
And it's like honestly, it's like America and Canada. It's the same people. It's the same people, and there really is no reason to like hate on the other. But why not have an in-group, out-group like situation?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Absolutely. So then once I kind of got that, it started to happen so often that I was like, yo, this must be a real thing. Because it's one thing if someone says, yo, man, you look Nigerian, or like ask me if I'm Nigerian, and then you go to a completely different city and you encounter someone else and they're like, are you Nigerian? Because you, and I'm like, nah. And they're like, yo, you look Nigerian, my brother. My brother, you look Nigerian. And they get all excited. They get excited to see it. My favorite was this one.
Room
I was
recruitment.
I say what? No, straight up.
Just in case there's a fight.
Straight up, dude.
Yeah.
This is my favorite one. One of my favorite ones. I'm sitting there and there's a group of women, African women. It had to be like 5 or 6 of them. And they all sitting there talking to each other, but they're doing that thing where they're talking to each other and then they look at me and then they talk to each other and they look at me and I see them. And then one of them, you can see them kind of agree that one of them's going to come talk to me. It's like,
yeah.
Okay. And she gets up and she comes over and just like clockwork, she goes, are you Nigerian? Right. And I was like, I get that all the time. I was like, I don't know, I could be. And she goes, you look Nigerian. You and she was it's like you could see the happiness in her face and here, you look Nigerian, you're Nigerian. Right. And I was like, okay. And so then I just started throwing out the stuff that I knew. And then they all were just excited that I looked like I was from, where they're from. So
What's
and
the
then I did my
language
DNA
over there?
Then I did my DNA and I find out that I'm 85% West African.
Damn, 85.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, that could also mean Ghanaian.
No,
Like,
and
you know
I am that
like,
too. I am.
Yeah.
I am that too.
Why is that? Why is that could be also Ghanaian?
Well, because all the slaves came from the West.
So when they say
region.
like they're West African, we're like, yeah, that's how we got here. Like,
exactly. They took everybody from the west side of Africa. That's
right.
They didn't go to the east side to travel across Africa to get to the water to go to.
Right. They're like,
they just took.
They're right here. Like we don't need to go further.
Exactly. It's like we just gonna take the closest Africans.
Exactly.
We're not trying to figure out which ones.
Yeah.
Right, we're gonna take as many as we can from this area that's closest to us, and then we'll figure out the rest. So, I got to throw this out here too before we keep going. King is also a lightweight philosopher. I believe that he has some pretty strong ideas and opinions about things. We don't have to get into everything, but he's a philosopher as well. He's a philosopher.
I'm getting big in this. I'm just getting big into simulationism, and so, but.
There you go.
We
gotta look that up.
What are you talking about? Like VR porn
simulationism
stuff, dude?
It's a view of the world.
Sal, you nailed it. Wait,
what'd you say?
VR porn.
Yeah.
VR porn. He's silly. All right. Well, okay. So there wasn't necessarily any comedy in the house, like no comedy albums, but you had storytelling that incorporated, comedy or just funny themes or ideas in the right place. And so you make it through school, elementary school, high school. And I met you. You were in college at San Jose State. Yeah. And now you're working at the Improv, and so you have access to comedians and this art form of comedy, right?
Yeah. I mean, I know you remember, but like Kevin Hart would have like 100 people, maybe. Mm-hmm. Like, we'd be like giving away tickets. Like when I first came, he would be sitting on the stool and you can give away tickets to see Kevin Hart.
Right.
And like now he's like, he's a mogul. Like he's a machine now. And so like, but every, we'd see 7-8 shows of Kevin Hart, like doing his thing, like working it out. We'd see these huge Ralphie May, like we would see them 8 shows a week I worked there for 6 years. Right. And so like I was being trained essentially by the best of like the world had to offer. Right. And so, and for me, it really was about holding people's attention. That's all like that's what I took away from the greats, was like how they were able to hold your attention, sometimes by 10 laughs per minute, sometimes by 2 laughs per minute, sometimes 1 laugh per 3 minutes. You know what I mean? And it's just the way that they were able to. And that's when I think when people say you have to find your voice, it's like how long can you go before you feel like you need someone to laugh? And once you figure out that cadence, that response cadence, I think that's what gives a comic their voice, which takes a couple of years to develop. So like, that's like something that I'm like kind of.
You hear that sound? He said a couple of years.
Yeah.
Hey, who Who's some comics you liked seeing when they would come perform there?
For the
I
record,
mean-
I worked with Kevin Hart that time as you're talking about. I remember those shows. That was
Yeah.
shortly after
Soul Plane.
his Soul Plane. Yeah, it was me.
Yeah.
Yeah, did
I
you
was
go out with
featuring-
them afterwards?
Oh yeah, I went out with him. I hung out with him
Maybe out
afterwards.
to a club afterwards.
Well, no, we hung out every night after the show. And at that time, across the street, you had San Jose Bar and Grill, and you had Trace
Yeah.
Trace. What is it called?
Trace Gringos. and
Gringos?
San Jose
Trace
Bar and Grill.
Gringos. Yeah, Trace Gringos and San Jose Bar and Grill. You had the Voodoo Lounge down the street, and then you had
Voodoo
like a
Lounge.
PF Chang's
Mission
and
Ale
another
House.
lounge.
Yeah, Mission Ale House, Tunes.
Yeah,
Like, there was a
lot of. I'm not gonna get into any of those Kevin Hart stories, but
Exactly.
we hung out
Let's get some
afterwards.
ratings.
No, he's a mogul now, right? Like,
Yes, exactly.
exactly. So,
He'll shut this whole thing down.
shut it
Ain't you
down.
scared of Kevin Hart?
Hey, dude, I'm just saying, bro. It was fun though. It was good times. It was good times. But okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. So that time, what were some of the people that you saw coming up that you really that stuck out to you or that you enjoyed?
Honestly, Sinbad probably had to be my favorite person.
Oh,
No way,
Sinbad.
really? Wow.
I could
Sinbad is
not
hilarious.
believe, because it was what I do. I can't do what Sinbad does. I can't do. It's like what Ian Bagg does, essentially.
Mhm.
When I get on stage now, and like we'll get into why I take it on this role on stage, but I'm so prepared, and my crowd work is rehearsed. The things that I'm gonna say, like everything is so specific to
Right.
what I'm trying to build on stage, the story that I'm trying to tell on stage. So I try not to get off script like at all. But when I saw Sinbad, because I didn't know, because even when watching Kevin Hart, like the whole like don't make me laugh, like it feels so authentic in that moment.
Yeah.
And it isn't until you see the same show 8 times when you realize like he's making himself laugh at the exact same time in the exact same way.
That's a
And
part
it's
of the show.
just a script. Yeah, it's a
Right.
show. But then when you see Sinbad or Ian go up, it is just like this authentic moment where he trusts his comedic instinct in a way that like is so like I remember the first time I let go of the mic. That used to be my thing, and like a lot of new comics do it. Like they hold the mic stand the entire time,
Yeah.
and it's like a prop. Like I leaned on it, like I was always holding it. And I remember I was like 3 years in, and something happened, and I let go, and I felt I had an outer body experience watching myself let go and be like, this is new. And I just like had this freedom to like walk about the stage. Like I can't remember where I was, but I remember seeing myself let go of that microphone stand for the very first time.
It sounds like you let go of your Linus's blanket, like your security.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Right? You're like, what's happening to me?
Yeah,
Right?
That's funny.
yeah,
funny.
but yeah. So Sinbad is like was probably like my all-time favorite performer to watch live, because
Let me
it was
ask
a
you
different
this.
show. Yeah.
Being as scripted as you say you are, and in stand-up, it's inevitable that you're going to get knocked off the script at some
Oh,
point
absolutely.
because of
Right.
crowds. How do you deal with that? Is that tough to get back in? Because it's tough always to get back into the story, I feel.
Yeah, it's so hard, and like I try, and that's why like I have this very like my opening joke is it specifically trains the audience to follow my cadence. And so if I can land my first joke, I usually don't have a problem for the rest of my set. Sometimes like
Okay.
somebody will come into the middle, and then they'll think it's like a kind of like a back and forth thing, and like that will really like honestly I might as well just throw the rest of the set away.
Right, a lot of times, yeah.
Exactly.
No,
Okay, so we're doing this now.
I just got to say this because you're like 8 years deep now, right?
Yeah,
Into stand-up.
it sucks because I want 2 of those years back because of the pandemic. But yes.
Okay,
I'm
well,
8
so
years.
that's you're legit. That's true. Let's say so. You're 6 years deep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you now, because comedy is such an organic experience, and the further you get away from your home base, the crazier it gets, right? Like
Yeah.
the further you get away. So I'm telling you now, it's gonna be the script, the idea, and the thought of getting back to that thing. You will go to some places where they will be trained and they will understand, and you think that they know, and you're all in agreement. And then there's gonna be somebody who's like, I don't play by the rules, right?
And
Like,
the worst is when there's no security, and then
and there's
you're
no
really
security. They
like,
can be like,
you're like,
I
God,
color
I need this
outside the
money.
lines. They're
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
don't color inside. I color outside the lines. And so whatever you're trying to do, it's gonna be like, but what about the thing? You're like, and
Yeah.
so you're like, they're just not gonna
Yeah,
allow
yeah.
you to do it. And look, it's inevitable. We've all been there. That would
Right.
be an interesting time to, you know,
And
you'll figure
like
it out.
I've already been in those situations, and I'm at the stage where I love bombing. Like, it
Okay.
is like, I do, like, I mean, because here's the thing, like, I know my material works. Like, you know, like, it's battle tested. Like, I know it works. If someone's listening, they're going to enjoy what I have to say. Like, it's like not offensive. It's shocking. Like, you know, it hits all the marks for someone to laugh. Like, I got all that stuff. But when I bomb, I am forced to like look at my material and figure out how to either avoid or prepare for like those situations. And so it gets me back into, you know, because it's like it's like picking up a piece of paper every single time and putting it down. And like, you know, you do that, you know, 3 weekends in a row, five or six shows a week, like I imagine it can get boring. And so I haven't had the opportunity to be as consistent as that, but I can imagine it getting boring. And the idea where something doesn't work, I love being able to like go in the hood and like check things out and like start tinkering with
Right.
things.
Okay.
So,
Right.
All right. Well, that's good. That's good. You love the process. There was something you said this
yeah,
weekend
exactly.
there's something you said this weekend that really stuck out to me. And I really liked it. I really liked it because what you said was you said, I'm never afraid to do the work. Right. I never shy
Yeah.
away from doing the work. You're like, I love doing the work. And that philosophy or that idea, that is something I think that can resonate with anybody in whatever it is they're doing. Right. It's like, if you want to
Yeah.
do something you want to be good at, then you have to be willing to do the work, and you have to love the work. That's what made Kobe so great, was that Kobe was willing to go into the gym and do the work. Now, he did it on a level that a lot of people weren't necessarily able to match in a certain way. Same thing with Michael
Shaq.
Jordan.
That's what set him apart.
Same,
Yeah.
exactly. Him and Shaq. Kobe's like, I'm in the gym at 4:30 a.m. You can't show up till 9:30, but then everyone else
Yeah.
shows up at 9. You know what I mean? He's like, you want to be
Yeah.
great, but you don't want to come in early. But you can't be afraid to do the work, right? So
Yeah, but
and you
Shaq
gotta
had
love the
different
work.
tools to lean on. Yeah,
Right.
so
Shaq got
Right.
3
yeah,
finals
right.
MVPs, baby.
Yeah,
Well, and
He
Shaq
I
shows
is
was
what
just
he
like,
like, I
wants.
mean, Kobe has the body type of like 85% of the NBA. Shaq was like next to nobody, so Shaq could like lean on that.
no, you're right. I mean, come on, 7'1",
Yeah.
7'1" and a half,
Exactly.
300 pounds,
300.
280. Yeah. He's like, you know, Shaq is like, I don't have to
Yeah,
work.
I
I don't
don't-
have to work like that.
Yeah, I
I
don't-
just,
I
all I
don't
gotta
have
do,
to-
I just lean on the guy, and then I just dunk the ball.
Exactly.
I dunk the ball, and I'm gonna be the greatest at all time. I guess he's like, that's it. That's all I gotta
But
do.
yeah, but like,
But
what
yeah,
you were
so
saying, like that's
so
exactly it. It's
and
the idea
that's
that like, go ahead.
no, go ahead, no, you got it.
It's like the people use the word want a lot, and it always sounds silly to me, because you can pretty much have anything you want. You just have to work for it. And if you're not willing to work for it, you don't actually want it. So shut up. Like, you can't say like, oh, I want to be a dolphin trainer. Like, that's not hard to do. Like, you just like that. You just go take the classes, and then you're a dolphin trainer. Like,
Right.
oh, I want
Right.
$1 million. Like, there's, you know, like there's ways, there's systems set up for you to get the things that you want. You just have to be willing to do the work.
Right.
Okay, with that,
Not, yeah.
Well, hold on.
So
And this,
yeah.
this is the other thing, Sal, real quick. He's also talking about this, because we talked about this as well, is setting the intention, right?
Yeah.
Setting the intention and then doing the work and pursuing what
Yeah.
it is, right? So, okay, go ahead, Sal.
all right, so you want to be a TV writer.
Yes.
And then,
Well-
so how did you set that into motion?
Yeah, from stand up.
Ooh.
Yeah. How do you go from
So
wanting to
when I-
just do stand up to wanting to write?
So when so I have 3 kids, and each kid really brought something new out of me. When I had my daughter, my integrity, like who I was as a man, how I presented myself as a man, was on trial. And it really was about cleaning up my intentions and my integrity, and understanding that some things I couldn't keep hidden. So I had to either like do the work to get rid of it, and to be like a man that I would want her to one day to fall in love with. Like, like I wanted to be a good man for my daughter,
A
to
good
like
example.
have that
A good
exactly to have
a
that
good
example.
of
And
what a good man is.
and so yeah, and that was 2017. And then when I had my son, all of a sudden, I was just like, he's gonna get his work ethic from watching me. And I'm like, like I'll do a show, I'll do a bar show here, like I'll, go visit my mom, like I'll go travel, come back. I wasn't in my I wasn't in my bag for like my work. And so when I found out we were having a boy, I was like, he's going to watch me and he's going to get his drive from watching me. So I need to have something malleable and I need him to see me go out and get things. And in 2019, I wrote 12 original pilots and 2 spec scripts. And it was just like writing and rewriting, and I would wake up and like, like I had a 1-year-old at the time, and so like I would like wake her up and like she'd be sitting on my lap, and I put my laptop on my knees and I'd be typing over her head, and I would just write all day. I would write all day, stand up all night, and then one of my scripts won the Los Angeles International Writing Award. I won a couple of awards for one of my scripts, and then that got me my manager, which got me my agent. And then by 2020, like right as everything got shut down and my son was like 5 months old, I got staffed on Last Man Standing.
On what?
And it was
I got
staffed
standing
on Last Man Standing with Tim Allen and Jay
the
Leno.
Tim
Yeah.
Allen
wow.
show. Yeah.
Wow.
Now hold up. So before we get to that point, because to sit down and just start writing a script, I mean, it's easy to say, but you had to learn, right? Like you figured out
Right.
how scripts are designed, and like
understanding
how many like a minute per page and whatever show you're trying to write, and setups, intro, outro, exterior, interior. Like what did you learn about writing a script, or how did you learn about writing a script?
So even the reason why script writing became a thing is because I came to LA trying to be like an actor, entertainer, and I had an idea in my head based around Black superheroes. Like, like I had this idea that there was no such thing as a Black superhero. And
I think we talked about this. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because if a Black person in America woke up with superpowers, would the first thing they really do go be help the cops? Is that what every Black man's dream is to do? Like it just like you have Luke Cage, like he's impenetrable to bullets, and so he's going around beating up like bank robbers. They need the money. Go set up a bad cop or something. Like, what are you doing?
That's hilarious.
So
I mean, it's like, yo, and that's what you're saying. Is like, if you woke up amazing, when you just go do everything that they held back from you.
This is what you're trying to do, like systemic oppression. Like, let me go make sure and keep the status quo. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I like the idea. I like the idea.
Yeah,
it's like you're keeping it real. You're keeping it real. Like I'm Black in America, and I got I can fly. You think I'm gonna save you, motherfuckers?
Exactly. Put down that drug. Like, no, like, I get it.
That's hilarious.
But I wanted to make it if a Black man woke up with superpowers, what his day-to-day would actually look like. And so like what he would do to, number one, monetize it, because that's what we do. LeBron James is stronger than everybody. He makes he's a billionaire. Like Steve Jobs is smarter than everybody, billionaire. Like if you're a standard deviation better than the rest, you make money. That's number one. Whatever else you do is fine, but the first thing you do is get rich. And so I had this whole idea, and I wanted to make a comic book out of it. And I asked my friend who was an illustrator, I was like, hey, would you like do the illustrations for me? And he was like, no, that's way too much work. And he was like, what you should do is you should turn it into a script. And I was like, I don't know how to write a script. He's like, you also don't know how to draw. So of the two things, I think maybe you should just take a class in like script writing. And he was right. And I went to writer's boot camp, and it was like a 6-week course. And it really was just teaching like the interior, exterior, like the format. And once I like figured out what it was supposed to look like, because I've been telling stories my entire life, everything just fell into place.
Wow.
And so
once you got the outline, then it was like, oh, here's the outline. Now I can just take my story and put that I can just
Exactly.
put the two together, right?
Yeah.
And so what do you write?
'Cause I
Like a
was-
20-minute pilot script? Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I have 12. I've written 4 movies since 2019. I've written 4 movies and 14 scripts, not to mention the stuff that I write for actual television. Like those are just like my originals.
Okay.
And so
Are you planning on trying to sell those, or what do you
yeah,
push them
yeah.
around?
Yeah, because these characters, they live in my head forever. Like I create a scenario and like these characters, and a lot of the times like they're just because I just wrote a movie for Kelly Rowland for Lifetime, and I wrote that movie in 11 days. And when like it's not hard for me to write because I'm really just transcribing the story of the characters that are like living in my head.
Right.
Like I write so quickly because it's like watching TV to me. Like I was raised by TV. I don't know about you guys, but like I grew up in a very disjointed home. My mom is like from the South, my dad is from Nigeria, so like they didn't really click in culture inside the home. So there was like a lot of battling trends. And everything I know about being a friend, about being a father, about being like, like a part of American society, I learned from television. Television literally raised me.
Mm,
So,
Wow.
okay.
Can I ask
Okay.
what shows?
oh, I Love Lucy. I Love Lucy was like the first show that like I was just like I'm all in. Nick
I
at
Love Lucy
Night,
was
like
great. I mean, comedically,
yeah,
it's
it's
amazing.
still great.
Yeah.
And it's not lost on me that my grandchildren and my grandparents will all have lived seeing the exact same episodes. Like
Mm.
TV is forever. Like that's why I call them forever stories.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Like I'm writing an episode of Last Man Standing, and it's already in syndication, and my son is going to be getting like his teeth cleaned at a dentist like in 30 years from now, and this is going to be on TV while he waits, and it's like me having a conversation with him whether I'm here or not.
Mm.
And I'm just TV's so beautiful. Like I've
Wow.
romanticized it, but to hell
Yeah.
with it. Like I love it.
He's got the when we talked about, so when King and I talked about this opportunity and being super excited, and I was excited for him, and he's like, yo, I got a job, I'm doing the thing. He's like, dude, this is what he said. He's like, I have this opportunity to tell these forever stories. And I didn't I kind of got it because I knew that, the medium and the existence of things, and they can be played over and over again. But now hearing it in this format, as far as like your kids being able to see it and somebody else and someone else and knowing you, that it's a way of communicating, right? Even if you're here or not. So
that's a cool take.
So this is this is an interesting story. This one right here is no, this is the one about, so you have this goal, right, to become a writer on the TV show, and you take the boot camp and you start writing scripts, you get some competition, you get a couple wins, and now you get an agent, you get a manager, and now you get the job. You're doing the actual job. What was that like?
Well, first for the audition for that job, do you write a spec script of their show? Is that how it works, or no?
No. So they read your original stuff. Like a lot of they want to know how you function in the world. Like what do you add? Like where are your thoughts? And so I sent them the script that I won the competition, and now they know I can write. Like they know I can put ideas in order. I can, with characters that I'm familiar with. They understand that I need to now get familiar with their characters. So writing a spec script might seem inappropriate, like for a show that you actually want, because you don't know you just don't know the characters the way they do.
Right.
And so they want to see what you can do when you know the characters and you care about characters. What is
that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And so so my agent sent them in, and then they had a conversation with me, and I got hired in the room. It was like my first conversation that I ever had with anybody. And later my showrunner would tell me that choosing a writer is choosing somebody who is not going to annoy the hell out of you. at 2 o'clock in the morning if the studios call you in from a rewrite? Like, can I be stuck in a room with this person for 13 hours if like everything like blows up in my face?
Mm.
And so he's like, yeah, we talked and we had a good time. I was like, yeah, he's fine. He's great. Yeah, here, change this person's life, put it on the schedule.
Yeah.
Dude,
I mean, it's funny.
that's-
That's so much of it, though, in show business, especially, is like, how cool is a person? Because, like, oh, you're funny. There's tons of funny people.
Yep.
Who's the cool
Exactly.
one that I want to hang out fucking with?
Well, I was
Right.
just about to say the same thing. Like a part of being hired by clubs to perform with headliners and different or things in that nature is, do you have the ability to be in this room with the person who's done something that's put them in a position to be where they are, and not ask them to be on your show, to be on their show, or to annoy
Right.
them and trying to take pictures and get your friends to come in and take pictures? Like, can you maintain a level of professionalism where this guy is willing to work with you? Because if you can't, then I can't. Yeah, I'm not hiring you. So
I just
that's
stopped
cool.
inviting my sister to shows.
You saw wait,
Yeah.
Preacher Lawson usually takes me up to San Jose with him, and my
Okay.
sister, she gets a little tipsy and she gets a little handsy. And
Oh,
so,
man.
but I was just like, she was on one night. I was like, listen, you don't understand. Like, yes, me and Preacher Lawson are boys, but like in this capacity, he's my boss. And my sister's 6'3", and she's like, like she's just, when I say hands,
She
it's a lot of
manhandling him.
hands.
She woman
Like,
handling him.
exactly. You know, like Preacher, he's like MMA now, and he still was no match. So I was like, oh man,
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Put hands on me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So now you get this job, and this is your first writing job. This is your first writing
Yeah.
job, and you're learning.
Yeah.
You're learning the rules of the game, or the rules of engagement, like how this goes. Now, Sal and I, we've never been writers for TV shows, but we have other friends who have, so we've heard the stories. And I know that everyone is kind of not on the hook, but everyone's supposed to write an episode. And then everyone's supposed to bring that episode in, and then they workshop it. So what happened when it came time for you to write your episode?
Okay, so just so you know, usually the first season of a show, like when you're a staff writer, like there's levels. Like we all call them staff writers, but staff level is like entry level, and then there's story editor, executive story editor, co-producer, producer. They're all staff writers, but like there's literal levels to it. And when you are just a staff writer or baby writer, they usually don't give you an episode because it's a very well-paid internship. And so, because like you don't know anything,
right?
Like you know the basics, but you don't know anything how the room works. And the worst thing a staff writer can do is talk too much. That was like the only advice I kept getting was be a sponge. And so like I go in there and like I would ask, I would volunteer to help, but when it came to like ideas, like I would wait to be called on because I don't know anything.
Right.
So they were asking for a bunch of blue sky ideas. Like, it's a 40-week process. And the first like 6 weeks, you're kind of just like, oh, what if this happened? What if that happened? Oh, what if these two people linked up? Like, is it time for this person and this person finally like hook up? Like, it's a bunch of like what ifs. Like they spend 6 weeks just what ifing it. And they, were pitching ideas, and I pitched one idea. And the showrunner was like, yeah, okay. When that show goes into production, when it comes up on the schedule to be produced, we're going to put your name on it. You're going to be the writer. Now, which I would learn later if I would have just listened more, the way our room works is that just because your name is on it doesn't mean you write the script. It just might be your idea. So Sal, Sal, you'll write the intro. Like Reggie, you'll write the first act. I'll write the second act. Like another person will write the closing. Like it's everybody takes it apart. We call it Frankensteining. Everybody takes apart, and then we put it together. And then the showrunner kind of like makes sure that all the jokes and adds callbacks and kind of does the melding of it. So that's usually how most comedy rooms
when it
work.
says written by, that's the person who came up with the idea.
Sometimes like it's just in their contract to have 2 written by scripts. So
wow, but like, even when that happens, you're still saying it still was a group effort. So even when
it's still a group effort.
effort. Okay.
So I didn't know that. And we're 6 weeks in. I'm 6 weeks into this like forever career. And the thing that I do is I write fast. That's the one thing I know that I do. I write well fast. And so we broke our story on a Friday. And then on Monday, I walked in with the script written, and I told my showrunner, I was like, hey, you know that idea that we kind of like half fleshed out? He's like, yeah, well, I wrote it. And he was just like, yeah, we don't do that here. And he didn't even want to look at it. And I was like, oh, okay, I've overstepped. That's okay, cool. Like, just throw it in the grass. My bad. Didn't mean to rock the boat or anything like that. And he's like, and he was right. Like, I didn't know like the nuances for that Tim Allen's character needed to have. I didn't know the relationship. Like, you know what I mean? I just got the job 6 weeks ago, and I was about to like hand in something that I wanted to like play forever. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it was a little it was very arrogant of me, but I didn't know that I was being
Right.
arrogant in that moment.
Right.
But I was definitely put in my place very gently. I was like, oh, okay, I'll just keep writing, go back to taking notes. And so 2 months go by, and all of a sudden that script is on schedule to be produced. My showrunner is on set, and his number two is running the room. And he goes, hey, everybody pull out King's outline for his episode. We're going to write that one by the end of the week. It's a Monday. And everyone pulls out my outline, says, take 20 minutes and poke holes through the outline so we can start assigning scenes for everyone to write. Everybody turns off Zoom because it's still pandemic, so everyone's like in a Zoom. I'm in the office, and the number two taps me on the shoulder and he's like, hey, you wrote this script already? And I was like, yeah, but like nobody asked me to. Like, please don't read it. Like, if I would have known anybody was going to read it, I would have been making changes, and like making it better based on all the things I was learning.
Right.
But exactly, I haven't even looked at this in the last 2 months. Like, please don't read this. And he's like, don't worry about it. Like, I'll read it. And so he takes it into the room, and I'm just sweating through my shirt. I'm just like, oh my goodness, like, this is so bad. And so he comes, and he's like, come with me to my office, like very serious. And I was like, oh crap. And so I go into his office, and he's like, I don't know how to say this, but I am shocked. And I'm thinking, I'm shocked that you still have a job here. He's like, he's like, I am shocked at how good this is. This is production ready. We don't have anything to do for the rest of the week. This is, and he says, he calls over the assistant. He's like, go take this to the big boss on set. And the big boss goes like, and the big boss like gets a copy. And so we go back into the room, and everybody's come in with the assignment to poke holes in it. So like everybody's like, oh yeah, well, what if like instead of this motivation, we give him this motivation? And like the showrunner, he's like, no, we're good. And then the other guy was like, okay, well, what if instead of the wife being the one, we make it the uncle? And he's like, nah, I like it the way it is. And they're like, what are we here for? Nice. What are we doing? Nice. And then the big boss comes in. It's like, hey guys, our king can write. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so it was just.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and so they ended up putting we still punched up the jokes and all that other stuff, but for the most part, like my very first script I ever wrote was actually written by me. And when my kids and generations see it, or friends see it, or anyone else like that, like it will be my voice. Like, you know, that. Yeah.
What episode is it? Can you tell us what's the episode?
Episode 8, Lost and Found.
Season 1?
No, season 9.
Season 9.
Season 9.
Damn, this one's been 9 seasons.
It had 9 seasons.
I know. 10 years, 9 seasons.
Okay, so this is the other part of the story too, is because we talked about this as well, but after getting through that and this episode being completely written by you, another fascinating moment was the table read, right? Like getting the characters of the people that you wanted to do the, yeah.
It was, it's just, it's weird when you're writing things for Jay Leno to say, when you're writing things for Tim Allen to say, like, you know what I mean? Like, these are like comedy greats. And like, I remember being on set, like with Jay Leno, like, and Jay Leno's Jay Leno is like literally like the nicest person like to ever grace our like medium. My son's name is Cassius. And he's like, oh, like after Cassius Clay? And then I was like, yeah. And then he tells this like great story between him and Cassius Clay. And he's like, oh man, did you ever get a chance to meet him? And I was just like,
Wait, who do you think I am?
do you think I am?
Yeah.
Like, no, I never met Muhammad Ali.
Right.
That's
Never
not
get
a
a chance
thing.
to meet
Yeah.
Muhammad
It's,
Ali.
but it's also
Exactly.
one of those things where it's like, yo, I appreciate you think I'm on that level,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. He
Yeah.
just treats everyone like they're equals, and I'm just like,
It's
oh
fine.
man,
Like,
thanks,
no, I was
Jay.
busy.
appreciate
I was
that.
busy meeting Jordan
Exactly.
that day.
Exactly. Me and Jordan, we had a thing, and then
Right.
I was like, Muhammad, I'll get to you.
So,
But yeah,
so that had to be
So-
pretty surreal to see to sit at the table read and watching these characters. Not, I mean, they're reading the script and they're reading your lines and seeing it happen
they're saying
and to
things
see it
that
come
I
together.
wrote.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm
Did
getting
you
chills like
do-
all over again.
So did you do this 10th season also?
No. So the show got canceled, I think like season 7. Like ABC let it go, and then Fox picked it up. So that's why it's 10 years, but only 9 seasons. Yeah.
Oh,
So they took a
so
season
that was
off. Yeah.
So you were at the final season.
I was at the final season. Yeah.
Oh,
And then my
did
next
you-
show, Pivoting.
I was just gonna
Go
say,
ahead.
did you know that was gonna be your last season?
Yeah, there was like rumors that they were going to bring it back for another, because apparently there's a money deal like that happens when you do 200 episodes. And I think we stopped at 189. So I
Wow.
thought, like, for packaging purposes, if there's 200, like it moves into another bracket of like
Right.
shows.
Syndication or whatever.
So yeah,
Okay.
exactly, for syndication purposes. So there was like, well, it would be silly for them not to bring us back for like those last 11. So there was like, maybe they'll come back, but we wrote to a finish line, and then it
Okay.
ended. So
Okay.
And then after
Yeah.
that, you got a job working for Netflix or writing for a show on Netflix.
no, my next job,
my bad.
job was literally the same network and the same time slot for Last Man Standing. Like it was like there's like with Netflix and Amazon and all the studios and everything like that, and I end up working for like the exact same time slot of show. And so but
Wow.
I worked for Fox again, like right after.
Okay, what show was that
So-
one?
It was called Pivoting.
Oh, Pivoting. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Wait, was
Yeah.
that the one with the ladies? I
Yeah.
thought the ladies.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
it. Oh, I thought that was on Netflix.
Yeah.
So my mistake. My
Mm-mm.
mistake. Okay.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was on Fox, and it was
Okay.
that show really should have got a second season.
Oh, they
Like
did
the
one.
cast alone, yeah, the cast alone deserved another season. I mean, it was like Jennifer Goodwin and Eliza Coop, who's a scene stealer, and Maggie Q. Like it was just like a bunch of like really big names, and so but yeah, so that went one season, but it was different to see. It was different to be on the last season of something and then be on the first.
Oh,
season
yeah.
of something.
Oh
Interesting.
yeah. I was gonna say,
Yeah.
what were some of the things that being in that writing room versus the other writing room and just styles and how they conduct business?
Well, on Last Man Standing, because I was coming into a train that had been moving for so long, and all the staff had been there for so long, like everybody kind of knew and trusted each other, and everybody like knew their responsibility. So it was like very like it was like a well-oiled machine. Like we come in at 10:30, leave at 2:30. Like like it was
Sal.
very.
Sal, we got to get
Yeah,
writing
yeah.
jobs. You hear that? And I know
writing
the
jobs are like that.
dude, I know the starting salary of writers. It's
the
it's
bottom
really
line
nice.
is amazing.
Yeah, I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
coming in at that number, you like, yo, from
dude.
10 to 2. Like, I
Yeah.
know that's not the case all the time, but
Should I
geez.
show you my view? Should I show
No,
you my
no,
view?
Now you
What
know
the
what
hell?
comedy you see your friends like, damn, your wardrobe definitely got upgraded.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're saying so, coming in at 10 and 2 and what have you. But
Yeah. And so with pivoting, it was roughly the same hours, but everybody was kind of, some of the some of the writers were trying to figure out where their voice was going to be most efficiently used. And our showrunner, like, people do not understand how hard it is to get a show on television.
Yeah.
Like, it just get some, it is almost impossible just to get a TV show bought. And it's probably like 20 times harder to get it picked up and to do a season. Like, people buy scripts every day. Every single day there's a script being bought. And then getting shelved and thrown away and like never to be seen or heard from again. And then sometimes like to actually get a pilot shot, and then you shoot a pilot, and then there's like thousands of those that get shot like every day, and then they don't get picked up for a season, and then you get picked up for a season, and then you got to sell to a network, and then like it's like a whole, it's a crazy process. So my showrunner for Pivoting worked her tail off to get this very important story told, and we got to like create people,
Right.
like we got to create these casts and like give them wants and give them like fears and like little, like my favorite thing is my most romanticized idea of television is a conversation I had when I was living in Malta. There was a German girl and a Japanese girl, because I lived in international housing, and they were arguing about what type of girl Joey Tribbiani would like from Friends. And like they were having like a full-on argument. And
hilarious.
I'm sitting here watching this made-up creature, like that, like Joey Tribbiani's not real.
He's not
He was
real. Yeah.
invented
Right.
by 9 people in a room with no windows, and like and the people know what he wears, they know what his favorite food is, they know like his catchphrases, they know he's a Hollywood invents people. Like they just make them up from scratch, and they touch people from like all the corners of the world. And so when I was in Pivoting, I got to feel a little closer to that, because these people didn't really exist.
Right.
And so
Right.
we would write and give them things, and we wouldn't know what would stick. Like, like, oh, they said this funny thing in episode 1, and here we are in episode 6. Should we do a callback? Should that be a thing for this person to do? Should this be a character trait? And like, we're
Right.
growing a human.
Right.
And so
Right.
we're growing a personality. So I love that.
It's interesting. Oh, go ahead, Sal.
I was just gonna ask, do you think the Kelly Rowland script will get made?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
It's so it's the 4th iteration of it's already in production essentially. It's the 4th iteration of she has a Christmas movie called Merry Little Christmas.
Mhm.
And so this is the 4th one.
Okay.
That I'm
So it's kind of in.
So yeah. So
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
yeah. This is not me being arrogant. This is me.
This is your 4th version. You said 4 versions already.
Yeah. Well, no. So no. So I came on new to the project just for this 4th one.
Wow.
Yeah, no, there have been 3
Yes,
previous
exactly. So the
ones.
first 3 have already been made. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
the
been
movies.
3
Oh, this is the
previous
4th film.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to just touch on what you were talking about as far as creating a character, like that idea, because I don't know if we really talked about it, but me and 2 other guys created a show as well that we're trying to sell right now, an animated show, and they brought me on board. They had an original idea initially that they're working with a production company, and they brought me on as just to kind of help with development of characters and telling the story.
Yeah.
And in the process of working on that, we end up scrapping that first show and creating a completely different show. So I got to be on board with coming up with the names, where they're from, basically creating people from scratch, like you just said. And and I got to tell you, it was probably one of the most exciting and exhilarating and just interesting and cool things to do, because you are creating a person from scratch. Like, where were they born? Right? Who are they? What were their parents like? And then how did those things affect them? And then how did they end up becoming who they are now when they're a part of this team? And then how do they work with the others based on where they come from? Dude, it's so amazing.
You're playing God.
You basically,
I mean, pretty much,
you're playing God. Yeah. So
I'm gonna give you like a little hack to the way I write. When I'm writing from scratch, I use actual people. Like in my head, like I'll call them whoever, whatever, like that. But like I know Reggie Steele so well that I know what Reggie would do in these very specific situations. So just because I call a character Larry or whatever like that, it's Reggie.
Right.
And that way I can keep that person, because the problem with a lot of new writers is when you read through the characters, everybody sounds exactly the same,
Right.
because they're thinking about what they would do in every situation.
Right.
But that's not the way TV works. Like Joey Tribbiani's, you know what Joey's going to do way different than what Chandler's going to do. Like they're two very different people, and so they need to read differently, and they need to be motivated by different things. And so,
nice.
Wow.
Yeah, and like the world, like everyone in the world, we're not all the same.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So, wow, that's great, man. Okay, so.
All right, Reg. Well, I got a lot of editing to do on this, so you better wrap this up.
No, I am. I was just gonna say. So I just gonna throw this out here real quick because Sal and I didn't get a chance to address it. So I gotta throw this out here. Just because it's serendipity, right? And I'll just go with the second one of the two situations. But so this past week, I get an email, I get a text message from Ian Bagg, who's like, "Yo, Reg, you want to feature for me at the Improv?" And I go, "Nah, man, I can't do it because I haven't been on stage. And personally, I don't feel comfortable taking a job from someone who's actually been working, like who's been working on their craft and doing the thing. Me not having, he would have easily let me have that feature spot and just kind of figure it out all week. But I'm like, yo, it's not fair to the guy who's actually working, right? Look, give him the spot and I will, I'll just come check you out, right?" He goes, "Well, do you have any recommendations?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, let me see what's up." I'm thinking about it. In the time that he asked me that, I then get a text message from King who's like, "Yo, does Ian Bagg have a regular opener for him on the road?"
What?
And I'm like, well,
you were in San
was
Jose?
Yeah. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. And I tell him, I go, "Dude, I screenshot it. I go, I just got this message from Ian Bagg right before."
I was in LA. In LA. There was no reason for me to ask Reggie. Like me and Reggie, we hadn't actually spoken. Like we had talked earlier that day, but I hadn't spoken to Reggie since early September.
Right.
And so like it was very serendipitous for me to ask minutes about something so specific, minutes while
get the message. Cool. I even was thinking, I was like, "Yo, does this dude have my phone tap? Like, how does he is he getting my messages too? Like, this is some bullshit, right?"
Funny.
So then I'm like, "Yo, let me see what's up." I contact Ian. Ian was like, "Yo," I told him about King. He was like, "Would he be willing to MC because of the club and trying to get stuff arranged or whatever?" And King was like, "Yes." And before I can even say yes, before I can even get back to him to say, "Yeah, it's good, you got the spot," King was like, "I already bought my ticket." I was like, "Oh." He was like, I'm in. He's like, "Dude, I'm there." So it worked out great, man. And so I got to see him. I showed up on Friday. I wasn't there Thursday, but I showed up Friday. And I got there just in time before he took the stage. And I have a picture. We're both in our leather jackets, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And so I got to see him this weekend. I got to see Ian. But this is the other part that came out of it was it was great to see Ian. And it was also great to see King. And then two friends of mine working together, which is awesome. For me, I just feel like I love it when my worlds collide, right?
Yeah, you're connected.
Connecting stuff. But then Ian goes, "You want to do a guest set in the Late Show?" And I was like, I'm like, "Oh, wait, hold on. I'm not ready." So I came back the next day and King, the whole weekend, King is like, "Hey, when my set is done, I'm going to be introducing Reggie Steele. Now, whether you walk out or not."
Exactly. Whether Reggie Steele walks out or not.
Oh, so you did it, huh?
I did. That's that's that picture I sent you. Ian took a picture of me on stage. So I went up, I did 5 and King sent me the video of it. I watched it and then I deleted it immediately. Because it wasn't atrocious. No, I started strong and I ended strong. Stuff in the middle was like whatever. They were just all ideas from that day. But it was good, man. I walked off stage like, oh yeah. I was like, oh, I felt like, you know what I felt like just for a second. Remember when I think it was when Nemo flew into Mr. Smith? Or either way, one of basically Neo, when Mr. Smith kind of dove into him and he flexes, he's like, the whole world flexes around him. That's kind of how I felt when I walked off stage.
You talking about the Matrix?
Finding
Nemo. I'm like, what's this guy doing finding Nemo? Just keep swimming.
In the Matrix. I walked off stage and I felt like I kind of flexed and I felt like the whole world flexed around me. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I do this, right?
There you go.
So I made you
Nice.
back. So thank you for the
Nice.
encouragement.
Thank
I
you, King. We've
appreciate
been
it. Yeah,
trying for a
thank you,
while ever
fam.
to get
Yeah.
Reggie
Yeah,
to do
man.
it.
So
And
he and
I actually have
oh,
a question for you, Reggie.
oh, what's up? Oh wait, hold up. Hold on a second. Can you hear me? Oh, there we go.
I can
yeah,
hear you. Yeah.
No, it's my speaker has a short and I hit the cable by mistake. So my ear I was getting
Yeah.
yeah.
I have a question for you.
Okay, what's up?
You are more of a comic than you are a comedian.
Mm.
And that's hard for Black men to be.
Okay,
And
but explain
go
that.
ahead.
What's the difference between a comic and a comedian?
So a comic says funny things, a comedian says things funny.
Mm.
Now, the greats are an amalgamation of the two, of course.
Right.
But for the most part, like if you read Bernie Mac's transcripts, you'd be like, what is this? Why
Right.
are people laughing at
Yeah,
this?
yeah. There's no jokes in there. There's no jokes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you see Bernie Mac, you're like, this is the funniest thing I've ever sseen. And so,
Right.
because he's a comedian,
Right.
you know? And so, like, people always say, like, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I think between the two, because I used to say the same thing. I go, you have a person who says things funny, and then, or it's a funny person saying things, and then a person who's saying things funny.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, in other words, you're saying that I'm a funny person who says things versus
No, I consider you a person who says like funny things. Like you know where jokes are. Like you're funny.
Okay.
Like you're like ethereal on stage. Like
Right.
it's like, oh, this is a person who's working from his mind. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I love that. But as me, I've had an issue being Black and being more comic, where people are like, no, you gotta dance around and you gotta do this,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, yo, I don't like No Brennan. Nobody walks up to No Brennan and be like, hey man, you really need to like dance a little, you know what I mean? And so like, how have you in your 20 years of standing up like had to like defend your style of comedy? Because I've had to.
Right. It's interesting, man, because it's really about acceptance of self to some degree.
Yeah.
And I've always found strength in seeing all the different types of comedians. Right.
Yeah.
And I understand for us, there is that thing, they want to put you in the box. I've always fought being put in the box. Right.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate enough to find people who appreciate me being outside the box, the people who appreciate what I bring to the table. Now, I'll be honest with you, sometimes the industry, with all the Montreal callbacks and with Comedy Central and with, other festivals, a lot of times they like me. I do the audition, I get the call back, and then I'm one of the people selected for the thing. And then maybe I don't get the final thing. And a lot of times the criticism was, well, who are you? Let's find more about who you are. Like, I know you have this thing. And they kept trying to put me in this box of like, tell us the story about being Black in America and how the struggle that you have and, how hard it is for you to be Black in this country. And I go, I hear you, but that ain't really my bag, bro. Right.
Yeah.
Like my thing is this. And so sometimes, you got to stay true to who you are. The last thing I'd ever want to do is be famous pretending to be somebody else. So with that, it's like you got to be willing to take the good with the bad, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they really may like you and they appreciate your talent and what you bring to the table, but a lot of times there's only space for one type of us. There's only space for the clean-cut Black guy, the urban Black guy, the silly Black guy. Like, whereas for the non, Black or brown comedians, there's a plethora of all the different variations of them. But for us, it's really, we get to have Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, and other. I mean, really, it could be Earthquake, it could be Bruce, it could be Lavelle Crawford, it could be Lou Nell at some point, it could be Cat Williams, it might be Omar Epps, but Mike Epps, right? Like there's really only get to be one in four categories for us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
in the
I would
spirit
say,
of equality, Sal, as a white man, how do you cope with people trying to police your comedy.
Mm.
Oh, I get. Well, I hate. I hate if people try and do that. So I'll yell and rebel. And I did. I told
Sal
Reggie
goes
once.
over the top.
I did a show and people were yelling at me, yelling spaghetti at me because I'm Italian up in Southern Oregon one time. Man.
Really?
And, yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like you go to some of these small ass towns, and yeah, man, I had a terrible set, and yeah, I mean, and you make me think too, like with the energy and stuff, because Reggie, one of his toughest times was back home in Birmingham for John Witherspoon. And if he was that typical like BET black comic, it would have done
Yeah.
great, but he wasn't, and it was rough. But it's like, yeah, like he said, you got to do you. I'm not going to change for you guys. Fuck you guys.
Right,
It's like
yeah.
you
Right.
said, this
Yeah.
works. You're the sheep. You follow the shepherd.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is it though. This is it. And this is what I need to say. I need to say this, and I need everyone who's listening to this to hear is you are authentic and original. There's no other you in the world. So the thing that you do, and I'm talking to you, King, and Sal, and everyone who's listening, is that you do you better than anyone else could ever attempt to do. Right? You make yourself so undeniable, right? Like I hear what you're saying about like being challenged about whatever it is. It's like, yo, I understand you have these ideas of what you think I'm supposed to be, but I'm going to be so good at what I do that it's like, yo, you have no choice but to accept me fully because I'm undeniable. I'm unfucking deniable. Right? I'm like, you sharpen that tool, bro. Like you get out, if it's wood, you get out in the concrete and you get there and you make that shit sharp as a blade, bro. Right? Like then they cannot challenge you. They can say, well, he's different. He don't fit the thing. And it's like, okay, then you got to create another category for me because I'm coming.
I love
right?
that.
Yeah. So you become undeniable. And that's what it is. That's how you answer any idea of the box that they're trying to shove you in. You break out the box. I see them shoulders. I seen the arms. Right? You break out the box, bro.
I try to keep them covered today for you. I was like, I don't want people being like, wait, which one's King? Which one's Reggie? Which one's King? Yeah.
That was actually one of the jokes this weekend. But seriously, man, that's it. Is you become undeniable. So you sharpen your tool, you hone your craft, and you become so good at what you do that they have no choice but to accept you fully.
And it already sounds like you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I care about it, and I'm willing to do the work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and this is the last story I'll tell. Sal and I, this is years ago. We're still new, right? There was a place in Emeryville, California, called Kimball's East, and we're in this room, and it's a huge room, big stage, and it's mostly Black people and all this kind of stuff. And we watching the first few comics go up, and the only time they're getting a response is when they do the most shocking stuff. Right? No one's laughing at the jokes per se, but when they say something shocking or something that's so over the top, then that's when they got a response. So people start to feel like, oh, the only way you can get something is you gotta do the thing. You gotta go over the top to get the response, right? And Sal's like, he goes up, he does his thing, and he comes back. He's like, Reg, you're gonna have to sell it. Like you gotta go over the top. They only want dirty. Remember this, Sal?
Yeah,
Sal,
kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, they
gotta go blue.
You gotta go blue. They only want dirty. And I was like, nah, man, I'm just gonna do me. I was like, I gotta do me. And I went up and I did. I just talked about my Alabama stuff, my mom and my relatives and uncles and food and everything else. And I killed. That night. I killed. Yeah. And it was one of those, it was a lesson, at least for me, that is like, yo, I can't try to change who I am to fit people. I can only be who I am fully. And if you accept me, then that's great. And if you don't, then that's fine. I'll move on to the next thing. So that's it, man. When you get in the room and they're like, yo, King, you got to go over the top and you got to be loud and exaggerate. And you got to be a clown. You got to be a fool. Break out it's like, nah, man, I'm going to go up and do me. I'm going to do me so well that even if they don't necessarily like me, they ain't going to hate me.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
you can hate on me, but you can't hate me.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well,
hey,
cool,
man.
King, man. It's good times.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you so much for taking the time today, brothers. Appreciate it, man.
You sharing everything too.
I know. I feel like we gotta have to bring you back though. So, what's next on the agenda right now? Is it working on stand up or is it submitting for? And then give us your handles where people can find you at too.
Yeah, so I'm never ever going to stop doing stand up. Like this is like how like it's the only way where I can get immediate feedback. You know, you write, you got to wait
Right.
for actors to do it, and like
Right.
direct, you have to have the right director. There's so many ways for it to go wrong. But when you're on that stage, it's you, and you know exactly how you did, literally the second you do it. So, like that's
Yeah.
like I'm always going to be able to want to be able to communicate with people that through that medium. So as long as I'm not writing, I'm putting everything in. That's why when you said that there was a chance Ian Bag was going to say yes, I just went out and bought the ticket. Like, you know, it's Cyber Monday. I don't want no deals to close. Like, I will show up and do the work because there are, you know, like it's, you know, the worst part about stand-up comedy is it actually doesn't matter how funny you are. Like that is really just an ego thing. That's for you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. We can get into a whole thing of that too.
Yeah. And so it's like I know people who have way more opportunities than me because they're willing to take drugs across state lines.
Yeah,
And
right,
so
that's right.
and so I'm like,
that's
if
funny.
this person is willing to commit multiple federal felonies for comedy, I think I can buy a Southwest ticket and like show up, you know what I mean? Sleep on a couple of couches. Like I need to be able to do at least that.
Right.
So
That's funny.
yeah.
So
So
stand-up is always going to be a part of it.
Yeah, stand-up is always going to be there. And right now I'm pretty much just trying to get staffed because apparently mortgages don't care whether you're working or not. So I need to get staffed immediately. That's like my first goal is to get staffed because I want to help showrunners tell their story.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's my turn to tell mine, I am well equipped and I've had enough experience and I've watched because when I'm in there, everything is a lesson plan for me.
Okay.
So what works, what doesn't work, I want because I am at I serve at the pleasure of the showrunner. Like what they want, like if I don't agree, it doesn't matter. This is their story. I'm just helping them tell it.
Right.
And so and I believe that. And so I can't wait to help someone else tell their story so I can get better at telling mine.
Okay.
And so
cool, man.
And where can people find you?
On Instagram, it's King Hassan _O.
You want to spell it for people?
Yeah,
I'll
King,
tag it. I can
K-I-N-G.
tag
Oh, you're tagging.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You know, that's that technology, right? He was teasing me about my Android. We're not gonna get into that. It's time to say goodbye.
Yeah, you should. Every time I get a green bubble text from you, I'm like,
I had it set on my phone and I was like, I have to email it to you and then create like a drop mail account for you to see yourself. Like, are you listening to what you're making people do to give you things?
Get with the times, right?
Anyway. Yeah, exactly.
Hey man,
my 9-year-old has an iPad.
Sal, hit the lead button, Sal.
You got that outdoor dog mentality, Reg. I saw that.
Nice, full circle. I love it. Hey man, thank you so much, King, for participating, man, and being here with us today, man. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Man, love you, man, and I can't wait to see you again. And you know how it is. Hey,
all right. See you when I see you.
Yes, sir.
All right, my man. Thank you, King.
Peace. All right.
No, that was quick. He knows how to run that tech. He's like, we're out.
He's like, boom. He's like
Tom Rose is fun.
So, that was awesome. But that led to more stories with Tom. We got to Prince.
That's true. We got that Prince story.
Prince story.
That was a good story.
All right, man. Well, that was great. What's your tagline for Sal?
There it is. I got a whiz.
There it is. All right.
There it is. I got a whiz.
So shout out to King for coming through, sharing his story. All right, man. Well, I'll just say this because it's time to wrap it up because Sal got to go to Wiz. Hey, thank you guys for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's show and our guests. Thank you, King, for coming out. We really appreciate it. We love doing it. We're going to keep doing it. So if you enjoy it and you like it, please like, share, and subscribe. That's Sal Kalani. I'm Reggie Steele. And this is Spitballin.
Peace.
Peace.